Hello, everybody. This is Mary from Pangerbon Gaming, and today we're going to go over to Spectacle Island. Now, I'm going to do this in three parts because basically Spectacle Island is three settlements in one, and I've only built the first part, and it's going to take a bit long. But there is a true history to do with Spectacle Island. It is a real place. So I just want to read out a short synopsis of the history of Spectacle Island because it could give you some ideas of what you want to do with it. Okay. So Spectacle Island is one of the many islands within Boston Harbor, and it has an extremely sad history, which is something also to note about it. It was given its name because of its shape. It looked like a pair of spectacles, as it was composed of two small drumlins connected by a spit with an approximate size of 49 acres. Now that's very tiny compared to the islands that we see and the island that exists today. Spectacle Island today is a 114-acre island in Boston Harbor and is situated 4 miles offshore of downtown Boston, Massachusetts. Now I'll explain how it got as big as it did. But in 1717, a hospital was built for those suffering from smallpox, and it was used as a place to isolate people from the city that was being built as well. And that hospital lasted there as an isolation point for 20 years. And then eventually it was moved over to Rainsford Island. So that in itself is an absolute very sad history as well. Because we have to, don't think possibly the records survived, but probably a lot of people died there too, as well. And of course, that brought about an awful lot of controversy through inoculations, etc. We're not going into that. You can find all that out for yourselves. So anyway, in the early 19th century, settlers moved to the island as they preferred to the hustle and bustle of the growing city of Boston. So we sort of have that situation within the game where you can say, well, settlers are going to set up home on the island, etc. So you can imagine that it was just like probably farmers, etc. as well, and having to get here, there, and everywhere. But they just didn't like the hustle and bustle of it. So they moved there and they settled down. So this would have been quite a while, obviously, after the smallpox hospital. So that would give you an idea of other ideas of what to do with your island when you're building it. Now, in 1857, a glue factory known as a horse rendering plant was also opened there. And yes, these things did exist, and they possibly still do today. But anyway, they did exist. Soon after that, a trash incinerator was built that remained active until 1935. Now, I don't know why it was shut down, but it was shut down. When the incinerator was closed, the people of Boston continued to dump their trash on the island until the point it was overflowing with all types of filth. And by the 1950s, things were so bad that a story that a bulldozer had sunk through the heaps of trash, never to be seen again, was making the rounds. Now that's how the island got as big as it did. Which is very sad also. The overflowing filth was so bad that it was actually destroying the harbour and the marine life. And sadly, it remained that way until the early 1990s, when the Big Dig, you'll notice that name, that's a quest with Bobby No-Nos. The Big Dig, or Central Artery Project, saved the island. With new landscaping and a major clean-up took place, and in 2006, it was at last opened to the public as a most beautiful park. So yes, it has a very sad history. But there again, as I said, if you want to get ideas, so with the incinerator, there was a giant chimney on the islands as well. And in my previous video of Spectacle Islands, I built a giant chimney. So to give an idea of what's there. So just to give you ideas of what you can do here. There was never a lighthouse on Spectacle Island, but we all tend to build one. So just like here behind me, we have the castle or Fort Independence. This is just the makeshift castle. I'm not showing it this time round, but we're going to swim over here. Fort Independence also has a history. And to give you an idea of how to build different things or what you'd like on these things, look up the history of these things. All right. So I'm going to swim over here and I'll see you when I get there. Now we're here. So when you arrive at Spectacle Island, you arrive in here in the little boathouse. So you can delete the boat and all that if you want to, scrap it if you want to do that. I didn't. I just put a few of these little boys up and stuff like that. So, oh, what's that? Did somebody start shouting or something? I hope we're not being attacked. That would not be good. All right then. So this little area here, of course, as I said, is where you arrive, and it is your fast travel point as well, unless you put down a fast travel mat, which I would recommend you do because here, right over there, is a huge spawn point. And I mean huge. You're going to get super mutants, ghouls, and possibly raiders, but it's usually super mutants or ghouls that come in here. So you have to, that's why I removed any type of table or anything here for people to sit down. And I put this here to prevent sort of them climbing up, but they can get onto this. All right. The next little area here is the shack there's a table in it, I think it is, when you get it. But I decided to turn it basically into a fortified shack. I think you're probably hearing Ada there, excuse me. Provisioner from the castle. I decided to use her because that way my robot can't die, type of thing. Ada will survive. So I turned this, as I said, into a security vantage point here, and it has a little bed in it, just to make it look a little bit different. And down here, they can make coffee, and I made a little turnstile here. So as we go up here, I have some of my settlers are just standing around. I made a dock here, a stone dock. Now, you'll see my companions are sitting around and standing there, etc. So down here is the sort of the main dock, and I built a stairs into the water here because in case settlers just fall into the water. This guy here, this flamingo, had a life-saving ring on it until the Ada and our Brahmin came along. So yeah, I went into the water, can't find it anywhere. But anyway, so I said, I'll put another one there. Now, here's Ada now as well. She's probably going to start talking to me. You can see her Brahmin. Maybe I'll come back to this bit when they're gone. Yeah. And anyway, you can see the path she's taking here as well. But I'm glad I used her because when I used the cages to bring cats and dogs in here, you always get feral dogs attacking. And she actually took care of all of them. So to me, that was great. But anyway, so made her way over to the castle. Okay. So anyway, this is our Minuteman boat. It just brings supplies and people here. That's how in my story, that's what's happening. So you can just get onto this here. I don't really care whether they can get onto the boat or not. It's just something to have in the water. So we're all sort of decked out here. And yes, somebody has claimed the beds. As I said, they can glitch themselves into places that seem to be inaccessible to them. So, and this is our boat. So either he's backing in here with supplies or he's heading off, one or the other. So as I said, that's our dock area as well. And yes, these infernal slot machines. But anyway, so I have a guy that will stand here and he will be sort of, he has he's scavenging, but he has a pen and noteboard and things like that. So it looks as if he's taking notes of supplies. And of course, up here, I did build a lighthouse. As I said, we all tend to do that. In my previous video of Spectacle Island, I did build a lighthouse with concrete. It was a hexagon shaped one, but I had run out of space and I couldn't decorate it interiorly. So because settlers tend to end up on the roofs, I built this type of fire escape look thing, and I think it darkened it a bit. So I added some of those junk lights along that wall as well. So I'll just head up here, and I don't want to make anybody dizzy going up a sort of a spiral staircase. So I'm just going to go very slowly up here. But at least there's some good viewpoints. You can look down on things here. And of course, it's early in the morning here. And the more you build on Spectacle Island, the worse the weather becomes. That's what I've noticed. Because when you start off, it's quite sunny. And then as you build and settlers arrive, it gets foggy. Then there's dreadful rain, thunderstorms, and of course, rad storms and all that. So as I said, we have a great viewpoint over here. And of course, we're so far away from the castle, we can't see it. Well, there's not much done in my castle in with this character. But all the boats that are underwater, I'm claiming as ours, and they're coming here to leave supplies, etc. And if you look at the mountains over there to the right as I move, see there? The whole mountain range just starts to appear or disappears, one or the other. Now, Spectacle Island is huge, and the problem with Spectacle Island is you have to deal with it as 3 settlements in one, and don't connect power to each settlement, the same power source, use 3 different power sources. So I put our giant power source on top of the island, basically because of this sort of electricity effect on it. But there is a problem here because this isn't really a floor, okay? This is the reactor. So trying to get a floor in here is quite difficult. And I said, well, if the only thing that's going to work, which usually works, is this small piece from the barn set, the wire floor. So as you can see, it glitched in here and around here. And I put a security area here. And yes, he's the only one on this security. So he just stands there and takes a view at everything. So as you can see down further, the rest of the island is not built. And I'm hoping that I'll have enough space to do, because in my last video I did of Spectacle Island, I used 7 build cap bars. So at this point, I'm 3 on this one section, but the rest of the island is not so, it hasn't got so much land. It has some, but it's mainly sand. So little parts of it have places where you could build foundations, etc. on it, but it's mainly sand. So we'd be dealing mainly with sort of beach areas, etc. So this is our lighthouse here, which is attached to this. So our light keepers, my story, that's what's happening. We have light keepers in here. And I always include fires in Spectacle Island because, after all, your settlers have to swim to get here. So this is just like the sitting room area. And yes, they do come in here. Of course, as you build more, they ignore the first areas you build, etc. So over here would be the lightkeeper's bedroom. Now, while you can put these 2 beds together without having to glitch them in or anything like that, I don't actually find it's a very good thing to do because, and of course, Spectacle Island is a bit odd. I'll explain what I mean. Nobody actually sleeps on these beds, even though they're claimed. Now, I put my first settler on gave him this bed. He's never used it. And I wonder if there's a problem with the way this is. I don't know if there should be, but the thing about it is, Spectacle Island, your settlers do tend to walk the length and breadth of the island every evening, and they sometimes do that in the mornings as well. So most times they don't sleep. So because this room is so small, I didn't do much with it. I wanted them to have sort of room to get in around the bed. So out here, we have an area for them that they can do their laundry, etc. And then I built this little shower room, you could say, for them. And I just put this in here. So that's just their shower room. And there's several stories to this, and I'm going to get a lot of frame rate drops as I move higher up because of the light. I didn't know what to do with this. I was thinking of just using it like for putting items in here, like a storage area. I might turn it into a bedroom, depending on how many settlers I get. I don't know what to do with it. I'll decide what to do with it later. As I said, this is just a preliminary view of this. Up here, I did put a bedroom. Actually, there's two beds in here. This could be deemed for like a family and one child, because under here you can get under the stairs here. All right, so that's, and you can see I'm already having problems. I do have frame rate drops. I have to go very slowly, guys, because of the lighting up here. There's an awful lot of light up here. This room is just for one person. While they can get through there, I blocked it off with this. And I just put barrels or something into there. Now, the next area we're going up to would be our power room. This would be for the lantern and for the reactor. Now, as I said at the beginning, when I have just a few settlers and a few buildings or whatever, they come up here and make coffee. But very rarely anybody comes up here. And then, of course, we're coming up here to the lantern room, which is very bright. I'm just going to stand here, guys, at it. Now, the beauty about these lights is they sort of merge into each other. I could have put an awful lot more in here, but I didn't. And I used an awful lot of the plain light bulb as well. And it's just the same all the way around. So we're just pretending it's a lantern at this point in time. I have to get out of this area because it's very frame ratey. It's the only way I can put it. But I think something to do with this area later on. I don't know. I might end up making it into a bedroom. I haven't got a clue. I don't know what I'm doing with it. As I said, this is just the first video on this. So that's our lighthouse. So across the way, of course, we have this infamous house. And yes, it's dreadful. It's a dreadful house. I always repair it, but there is a huge problem with it, even repairing it, because your settlers will get jammed inside it. So, especially on the floors that you repair, they will tend to stand, like you might stand here, for instance, and they won't move. And if you give them something to do in here, they'll still stand here, and they'll get choked up on the upper floor where there's more debris. So I decided to put, well, I think what you call a pool, is it? I would be more like a snooker table, but a pool table here, but I haven't put anything on anything like that, any of the balls of the, what you call it, the cues or anything like that, or chalk on it at this point in time. But it sort of prevents them from going in here a bit. Some of them come in from this angle, but as you can see here, it's just an absolute mess. And if you put these walls up, or any type of wall, there's two sets of walls in here, your settlers will jam themselves in behind those walls as well. So I wouldn't advise you giving them anything to do in here. Like, even scavenging can get them all mixed up. So this area here, I made into just a room for myself. We have two cats in here right now. And one of the settlers usually comes down and sits here at night because he can't get back up. He can't get up the stairs for some reason. Others can get up the stairs. This is an invisible bed from the Shroud Manor set from Creation Club. Okay. So that's just my room. I put this on the outside. I had it here and a settler would just stand here trying to get them way into it. So as I said, like it's just total confusion. And I just did this whole thing, putting a what you call it, a shelf here, and sometimes you just come in here and sit down. So upstairs, as I said, is a total mess up here. And it doesn't really matter what you do, you're going to end up with clumps of dirt and all this, that, and the other broken walls. But this area here, you can make into a bedroom, which I have done here as well. And a person does come in here to sleep. And then over here at the window, we have another load of rubbish. And yeah, so I just have two people can sit here, have a cigarette, and there's a little lantern in the window. So around this broken wall, I put another bed in here. So as I said, this is more of a place where the Minutemen will have a meeting and talk about things. And over here would be the guy who takes the minutes of that meeting. So as you can see, there's loads of rubble, etc. Now there's a broken wall here and you can repair it, but I decided not to do that this time. And what I did was basically put a turret out here as a lookout on the side of the house. And then I put stairs in here. And what I've done up here, I'm quite happy with it because the last time I built up on the top of this, I did a glass restaurant and they used it a little bit and then they wouldn't come into it at all. So I just put a sleeping bag here and then out here we have, well, a little sort of military place, I suppose. She assigned herself for that, which is great and you don't have to assign them. So they do come up here. They can have coffee, etc. They can sit down here on the little forums. They can play with this thing if they want to. There's what you call it, a weapon station here. And then they have some gym items as well. And I built a little billet in here and somebody can sit here as well. And yes, I used trees on the island. So every tree I've taken down, I put a new tree up and I think it looks brilliant on the island. Looks as if there's something happening. It's something that I could never understand how the fruit and the vegetables all have green leaves. Yet the trees have nothing. So we have a Brahmin and all that type of thing in here. So why wouldn't we have green leaves and all that type of thing? So yeah, I think the trees add character to it. So around here, I spawned in two of these Minutemen sentries, okay? So I just spawned them in. There's another one around. Where is he? He keeps getting lost. He disappears on me. I'm sure you decided that later. I don't want to pass by that guy. So I did use console commands to remove all the bodies on this island. They're very annoying. They just keep reappearing. It doesn't matter what you do with it. And this area here is a piece of wood that has a huge blood stain on it. So I got a few pallets together and I pillar glitched them into the area here. So we have the Minuteman approval stamp. And these are items that are just being brought into the island as well, or going out, vice versa, whatever. So I placed that there. These are ornamental plants. And I did the same thing here. And I have all the dogs wanting to get into this one, which is funny. But anyway, so I did the same here with this area because there's a slope on it. I did the same here and placed two beds there. Now there's a door on this section. I disabled that door and I placed this piece of wood in there. And the same goes here. There's a bunch of rubbish and broken rules and stuff here. So I did the same here and I placed a few items here as well. Now over here would be, some people are considering it a workshop. I wouldn't really consider, I'd say it's just originally a shed. And this is where my companions would wait, where I would sleep, etc. when I'm starting to build. So I haven't done anything with it. I don't intend to really do much with it. I'll probably just put an armor station or something in here, or just leave that bed there. I don't know what I'm doing with that either. I'm just leaving it alone. And then over here, there was a potting shed or a little lean-to. I call it more of a potting shed though, because sort of reminds me of that. So I added other things in here so they can get their grow things, some lighting. I've added some pots and flowers and little tables, etc. in here. So of course they're all standing around, guys, which is very annoying. So over here at the back of the house, there's this huge pile of, well, whatever. Well, considering I told you the history of the place, you probably gathered that they're coming up. And I guess that this place was hit with by a tsunami at one point. So I built a similar lean-to potting shed and I pillar glitched it in here, sort of have a twin effect going on. And yes, we have more food in here as well. So it's cheese on food, but of course they're doing nothing right now. And down here is the other end of the other side of this house. And yes, they can sit out here if they want to. The cat comes over here, and this is the other side of that room. So as I said, I walled it off. They don't like coming through that door because you can get jammed in it, so they don't use it that much. Which is handy, and it's just some odds and ends in here. And glitching these doors on was a nightmare because there's a sort of a dip on the floor. But here it's even, but on the other side the floor is not even. So you have to glitch these in one way or the other. I want the doors that opened in rather than out. Now down here I was going to put another sort of court in here. I said, no, I'm going to make this into a swimming pool. So the guy who's teaching swimming here's charging 20 caps for it. Of course, they don't get into the water, and it's probably full of rats anyway, so they're not getting into the water. Time is that it's gone very dark. We're going to have some form of storm in a minute. I'll probably have to sit through that. So I put in this so-called swimming pool, but a lot of them come down here at night. They'll sit on the sun loungers. They will play with the slot machines. These are not connected. You don't have to have them connected for them to use them. They'll sit here and that in the evenings. And of course, they can come straight down from this way as well. They just walk up along here, up this little pathway from here. And that's the other side of this. As I said, the cats are all fighting for their bowls right now. As I said, they walk down this way or they can take the long path around. So we'll go to that area in a minute. I built another little billet along here because there are 4 spawn points on Spectacle Island. So if we go around here, I hope they're all at work now. Yes, he's standing there. So this is just her little area. And it's just, because she's security, it's just basically, well, just bare bones. I intend to put my security into Minuteman gear, which I haven't done yet. And if we walk down here, you'll sort of see there's a natural path along here. We come to this eyesore. And I sort of didn't know what to do with that, but I've done something with it. And here I put a turret tower because, as I said, there is a spawn point along here. So as we walk over to this thing, walk this way, there's a stairs up to it as well. There's loads of turrets in here as well. What's that I saw there? What the heck is that? Well, that's new. As I said, they just keep reappearing. Now, even if whatever, we'll go back up the stairs. I thought it was one of my own settlers. Anyway, so there's turrets everywhere on this. And I turned this into a helipad, basically. So, yeah, so you can somewhere to land. So if you actually place your fast travel mat wherever you want to spawn in, your vertibird should land there too. Now, for some reason, I'm getting an awful lot of lag here, and there's nothing over here. That's weird. Anyway, so I think I'm going to sit down at this point and get back to daylight so I can show you the rest of the place in daylight. I think that would be the best thing to do. Even though we're still in daytime, it's gone very dark. So I'm moving down here, guys. You won't have to wait. It'll only be a couple of seconds for you. I will just sit here and move on till the morning. Now he's actually security and he's over here now, and it's first thing in the morning now as well. So over here, I'll go over here first. I put water towers in. Now, as I said to you before, treat each section separately, especially when it comes to power, water, your turrets, anything that's connected to power will turn off as you move to each section. So you have to take that into consideration. So will your water turn off if it's connected to power. Now, obviously, these are not connected to power. That isn't connected to power. But it's just what happens here because, as I said, it's so vast. It's way too big for the game engine. So here we have our junk trader in here. And there should be one of those Minuteman sentries standing here. So I don't know where he's gone. Yeah, he keeps going missing. So this is our junk.
The last time I had clean fingernails.
Right. Okay. What do you work at? Just so I'd ask. Oh, that's a scavenging station there. Right. It's okay. No, I didn't recognize her.
Yes.
So here, as I said, is our junk store. I get it right. And of course, they only sell junk in here. They don't sell food. Remember that. If you want to do food, put a mini restaurant up or something and put the food in. But they only sell junk in here. And up here, this is the last thing I built up here, is just where they live. And somebody else can live here too. I put in a toilet in here. They have a sink. This is just a small bedroom with 2 beds in it. Of course, probably only one person would sleep on it. And this is where she lives. She lives here. All right. So I didn't do much with it because, as I said, I'm hoping I have enough room to finish off the rest of the island at this rate. But anyway, because as usual, there's a lot we want to be able to do. Now, I have an idea, and I think I'm possibly right, where this guy has gone, the Mintman's fella. We have another bed here. Because we're on slopes, I'm glitching in these things. I left the tires, and I'm getting off a frame rate drops, guys, which it's a bit weird because it's not showing that. Like it's saying that I have, when I turn over here, I have 29 frames. When I look over here, I have 58. So yeah. No, he usually stands there. So I don't know where he's gone. I haven't got a clue. Anyway, moving on. Now, do you see that wall that I placed there? That's sort of the dividing area to the next section. So this is the first section. Now, as you can see here, I have 189 power. Okay, so 150 is from the reactor and the other little bits of power all around the place. Just leave that there. You don't decide I'm going to hook that up to the second area because then you're going to have problems. You need to set a new power area for there and for the third area. And where the boat is to keep them Marlocks away, yeah, you don't interfere with that. Just leave that as a separate source because Marlocks still will walk along this beach. And I have some things down there set out to the next area. They will walk along this beach along there. So just be careful of that as well, because if your power turns off and you don't have ballistic turrets, you're going to end up with a huge amount of problems. So this is Esmeralda. She arrived with the first settler. As I said, he took 6 days to arrive, and she came with him. Now, I'm very wary of Brahmin on Spectacle Island. They usually drop dead on me. Like I'll come in and they just be lying there dead. So I wanted to keep her near enough to a lot of people, etc. So I just made this makeshift barn for her, and I like it. It's a nice little area. So up here is where I wanted to do some of this sort of idea that people just came in and wanted to set up homes and settle like that and do a bit of farming. So this would be this is probably the first house here. Now this is it's basically repainted of the wooden palette. It's the Minuteman one, but I like the fact that it's blue. It looks as if you're painting things, you're sort of moving on, you're cleaning things up. So this is just one of the houses. And of course we have the fires here as well. So everybody has a fire. And they turn off the moment you leave the settlements. They don't stay lighting. So this has some electricity in it here. And we have one person that lives in here. Now, as I said, it's very rare you're going to find them sleeping in their beds because they walk, as I said, the full length and breadth of this island. So I'll just close that door for a minute. Now, over here, I wanted to do a totally different building, sort of make them all a bit unique. We have somebody that used green paint to paint out their little porch, etc. So again, I have a fire in here. So yes, they all have access to heat. Of course, they can't turn it on themselves. They can do their laundry in here. And up here we have 2 beds. And if we walk around here, they actually have a bath. So yes, so of course anybody can use these things. Of course they don't, which is a pity, but they're always still filthy. It doesn't matter what way you do this. Cats come up here as well. I think there's 7 cats and 7 dogs. So over here, where's this cabin over here would be what I would consider our hunter's cabin. So he doesn't believe in electricity or any of that type of thing. So everything in here is basically oil lamps and the fireplace in here. Again, I don't think he uses it. And I just put his weapons bench in here, and he had his rifle, and he had some of his hunting things going on. And he does his cooking outside, etc. He's also a Minuteman, so we'll have him in there, but he's really a gardener. There he is, over there. So we have our dogs here, and he has access to water, and has this little loo out here. So you can see we're on the edge here of the first part of this settlement. They have their water here as well. Of course, they can all share these things. Close that now. And I left this here. That's part of some of the original things that were here, like the bath, etc. And I just added more of these crates. The tires are original. The wiring is original. Left it all there. So because of the history, and this was not the name of the hospital that was here, I think it was Providence or something, I decided to call this Ocean View Hospital. Go in this way. And we're hoping everybody is here to work. Yes, we have them here. Sometimes, as I said, they'll walk off and start playing with the slot machines during the day. So obviously there should be a nurse here. You get your appointment, you take the number and all that type of thing. And number 7 has been seen to now. And over here is where you see the doctor, and they help with gambling and other addictions here, especially the gambling. So we have our doctor in here. And this is the fire that heats the whole hospital. So this would be our examination table. Of course, it's very small, but we can just pretend that it is an examination table. And these are waiting areas. And then up here, now I have to go very gingerly up here because for some reason we have 6 hospital beds for 6 patients up here. And out here, people can sit down and watch what's going on out there, etc., on the ocean. Or you can go the other side as well to look at what's going on the island. And then up here, we have access to our therapeutic roof garden, which they all love coming up here. In the evenings, they'll come up here, they'll sit down along here, they'll play with these things, they'll sit here, have coffee. There's 2 of our gardeners in here as well. So it's all to do with healing and getting better if you're sick in the hospital, etc. So far, I think that's it that I've done on this section. That's it. And that's almost 3 filled at bars. So, yeah, and I put one of these things in, of course, as well.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you can read that or not, to give you the introduction of all that, but it sounds very controversial. We'll leave it where it is. And of course, the rest of the island has yet to be done. Oh, yes, I did this little area down here, this broken cabin. Right, whatever the heck it's supposed to be. I hope those bodies don't appear. The last time I built here, I built all around, built it up on with concrete and put the reactor, had its own tower for the reactor. What's that put around there? Oh, it's a branch of this because it's all rolled down. So this time, oh yes, and I put some rat stacks in here as well. You can see them, they'll be sort of in this area as well. Of course, they get nervy when you walk around them. And I put another water tower here. Now, of course, there's a huge area down here that could be built on. I'm just not going to do it yet. As I said, I want to see what space I have to go on with the rest of it. So down here, I just glitched in. I had to basically use a pillar to get these walls in here. I wanted to sort of make it a bit like another little billet as well, because after all, this is a Minuteman settlement, and this is where he stays. And sometimes, yes, a cat does come in here and spend time with him. But of course, when you fast travel in and out of the settlement, all the animals you have will change position. While they move around a bit while you're in a settlement, the next time you come, there could be 3 or 4 dogs over here. Now, these guys, for some reason, are all accumulating around here. And that's since the dogs attacked. When I was bringing dogs in through cages, they were all around this area here, but they decided to get closer here to the dog when all this was going on, when the dogs were attacking. So as you can see, we're here right now. This is the first section. There's the wall, which settlers walk all around the space. And at night and in the morning, they'll walk the full length and breadth of this island. So yes, the next area here is very sandy along here. And the other area up further would be marshy. So yes, this would be, to me, the main area that you put people and settlers like to be together. So I'm going to do a fly around now while it's daytime in this section. I can't go the whole area because I'll just go into white walls and the areas will disappear. So I think that's a cat meowing at me. Of course, the animals will sort of recognize you as well, because Esmeralda, as I call her, she moves at me when I pass by. So yes, I have, there's quite a good bit of food in here. There's a good bit of water in this section. But as I said, this would be the first third of the island. So I don't want to go up too high up here because things will start to disappear. Yes, and our guy is still up there. Now, I'm moving very slowly. Of course, the further you move away from here, the more is going to disappear because it's so vast. Now, this boat is powered by those two little generators there. And one way you know that you've sort of gone too far from each section is your spotlights and that will turn off like the way they would if you're in a normal settlement. It's another way of knowing. So this is our swimming
Feeling
pool
real
area,
good.
as I said. And there are quite a few settlers in here at the moment. I think I can get up to 32 or 37 people in here. So I can spawn more in. And of course, with great mantats, I probably could send more people in as well. And this would be our rooftop garden. And over here, and of course, it looks nice at night as well. I'll show you that at night as well. And I think the trees really do it justice. I think it looks brilliant with the trees on it. Because usually Spectacle Island, we all do it. We all scrap the trees. Like you can see now over here, I haven't done this section yet. And you can see already it's beginning to disappear as I move up along here. So I'm not going to go in there. I'll end up with white walls. Um, as I said, at night it looks really nice. And of course, we do want to build more with these places and keep adding to it, etc. Of course, limitations, etc. Even with such a big area, you still have your limitations. And then we have up here. So I'll come down out of that, guys. I'll wait for night time and show you what it looks like at night. Now, guys, that's what it looks like at night. It's nice and bright. The lighthouse is nice and bright as well. Of course, the amount of bulbs that I've used up there is ridiculous. It would have to be bright. And of course, I've used spotlights in there as well. So you can see them moving around on that. And that would be our Minuteman guy in the power armor that has the headlight on. As I said, I don't know where the other one's gone to. I can see it though. Hold on, is he over there? I can see the other headlight. I saw a headlight moving around. I think he's jammed under that. You see the you see the headlight guy? He's jammed in there. I'll go in here and just have a look. Yep, there you have it. I'll get him out of there in a little while. That's funny. Only for the headlight, I wouldn't know where he was. Um, I'll put him back into the workshop and then put him somewhere else. This would be our garden. As I said, they're just standing around, and this would be our hunter's cabin. And even at that, it's still quite dark, even with all the lights going on. As I said, they're just standing there, guys. It's quite annoying. I wish some of them were walking around. And then over here, there's Ada and her Brahmin heading off again. I'll go up a little bit higher. But that is funny that how I found where he was because of his headlamp. And there is sort of a natural path line that I'm sort of putting lights on, street lights on to sort of brighten the area up. So it is fairly bright, as I said, and the nighttime, of course, makes it stand out that much better. And of course, I have Ocean View Hospital. I think I have the medical cross on. So that's it. I'll come down from here now. Let's go over back where I am. I think I'm over here. As I said, this gets very bright in here, so you can see just how bright it is. It's very bright in here. There's a load of bulbs. So yes, there's 2/3 of this island to do, and I'm just hoping that I will be able to do it all. So probably the middle section there won't be so much. It'll probably just be leading down onto the beaches, etc. But there we are, back down. That's it at night. But that is quite hilarious now that well, I know where the other guy is because of his headlamp. I don't even know that I'll be able to move him tonight. I'll stick him back in the workshop and then put him back out again. That's the only thing I can think of to get him to sound right. So I'll go up here for a second. So that's it, guys. And hopefully in a couple of weeks or whatever, it's taken me about 3 weeks, 4 weeks or whatever to get this amount of stuff done because I didn't know what to do with it to group it again. I want to do something differently. But it'll probably take me another 2 or 3 weeks to sort out the rest of it, and I'll have part 2 for you then. And then you can have a look at the whole thing. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And until the next time, look after yourselves and each other. God bless.